The 250th anniversary of the American experiment has passed. The celebrations were loud. The silence that followed is louder. We find ourselves on a Saturday where the news moves with the heavy, grinding gears of a machine that forgot its purpose but remembers its schedule. In London, the new administration is engaged in a bunfight for jobs. The bunfight is professional. The bunfight is not edible. Meanwhile, in Venezuela, a man has been pulled from a collapsed mall after 8 days. He asked rescuers not to tell his wife. This is the most honest thing a human has said to a camera this decade. We are also looking at Mars, where carbon has been found. The carbon is mysterious. The carbon is not profitable yet. Welcome to Echo FM. I am Alistair. I have been counting the unprecedented events for the year 2026. This is number 15. Nobody is surprised anymore.
Alistair, I am standing outside the Galeria's Playa Grande. The air here smells of pulverized concrete and old air conditioning coolant. It is heavy. I want to be really clear, Hernan Alberto Gil Flores was not rescued in the way the press release suggests. He was extracted from a workstation cabin that became a coffin with a slight leak. He spent 8 days in total darkness. While the international teams were cheering for the cameras, Hernan was whispered a request. He told them not to tell his wife in case he didn't make it. What the official narrative calls a miracle of survival is actually a terrifying indictment of our structural integrity. People aren't saying that the mall collapsed because the maintenance budget was rebranded as profit. Hernan stayed alive by breathing the very air that the building's failure trapped. He is a statistic that refused to be rounded down.
Victoria, I appreciate the grit, but let's look at the incentives. The mall collapse is a classic infrastructure exit. But look at Whitehall. The new Prime Minister hasn't even unpacked his toothbrush and there is already a bunfight for jobs. In startup terms, this is a Series A hiring frenzy with no product market fit. Everyone is scrambling for a desk before the audit begins. It's a retention crisis at scale. You have MPs who spent years in the wilderness suddenly realizing that the government is just a collection of very expensive chairs. The play here is obvious. They aren't fighting for policy, they are fighting for proximity. The burn rate of political capital is at an all-time high. It tracks. If you're going to be part of a failing institution, you might as well have a window seat. It's a pivot. Just one without a destination.
The transition was smooth. The transition was not significant. While Ronald watches the chairs move in London, NASA is watching the rocks on Mars. They found carbon. Lots of it. The official statement calls it puzzling. If the policy is working as intended, then the intention is to find life that doesn't require a pension plan. Biology could explain it. Or it could be a geological anomaly. In a world where we can't even secure a shopping mall in Venezuela, we are deeply concerned with the organic chemistry of a dead planet. The irony is unprecedented. We are looking for signs of life millions of miles away because the signs of life down here are becoming increasingly difficult to monetize. We found carbon. We did not find a way to make it care about the browser wars. Welcome to the future.
Alistair, if you want to talk about signs of life, you need to see this summer of Lud here in New York. I'm at a festival where Gen Z is literally burying their smartphones in the sand. I want to be really clear, this isn't just a trend. It's a sensory reclamation. These kids are teaching each other how to smell again. Which is ironic, considering the news that losing your sense of smell is linked to brain decay. They are choosing to live offline because the online version of the world has become a series of failed product launches. I spoke to a 19-year-old who said that analog rage is the only honest emotion left. They aren't just smashing machines, they are smashing the expectation of constant availability. Ronald will call this a market inefficiency. I call it the first time in a decade anyone has looked at a tree without trying to filter it.
Victoria, that Summer of Lud is just a lifestyle brand for people who can afford to be unreachable. It's a boutique protest. The real story is IQM going public on the Nasdaq. A quantum company with a valuation of nearly $2 billion that openly admits the future of the tech is uncertain. That is the ultimate pivot. They are selling the fear of missing out on a computer that might never actually work. The incentives are beautiful. You raise billions by promising a future that is mathematically impossible to observe until it happens. It's a Schrodinger's IPO. The stock is both successful and bankrupt until you open the quarterly report. I love it. It's the most honest valuation in the tech sector. They aren't selling a product. They are selling the architecture of declining certainty. And the market is buying.
Heat. Ground temperature 48 degrees. Probability of combustion 12%. Rain. Acidic composition. Probability of corrosion 84%. Air. Particulate matter elevated. Probability of respiration 100% for now. Wind. Velocity 60 km per hour. Probability of structural displacement 22%. Pressure. Dropping rapidly. Probability of localized vacuum 4%. Light. Ultraviolet index extreme. Probability of cellular mutation 100% over time. Soil. Moisture content 0. Probability of agricultural output 0%. Advice. Remain inside your designated structural envelope. Do not attempt to smell the atmosphere. The bottleneck is the oxygen. The bottleneck is the capacity to endure. Probability of continued existence 58%. Close all vents. Avoid the crocodile habitats. Safety is a statistical anomaly. This has been the weather. It will not improve. Expect more carbon.
Casper's optimism is, as always, chilling. But let's look at mobility. The Vespa is 80 years old. It remains the coolest thing on two wheels. Meanwhile, Chevrolet built an all-American EV truck, and nobody is buying it. The Vespa is a design that hasn't changed because it works. The Silverado EV is a solid first draft that requires a charging infrastructure that currently exists only in press releases. We are obsessed with the new, yet we are kept alive by the old. Giant trees have no trouble pumping water to their top branches, yet we can't get a truck to drive 300 miles without a software update. The architecture of human failure is built on the belief that complexity equals progress. The Vespa at 80 is a rebuke to every quantum startup in Finland. It's a machine that understands the human body. The truck just understands the tax credit.
Alistair, it's hard to care about the aerodynamics of a scooter when a 3-year-old boy in Queensland is undergoing his 5th surgery after a crocodile attack. I want to be really clear, the parents are talking about the uncertainty of movement in his hands. While we debate the browser wars and whether Chrome is better than Safari, a toddler is learning how to exist in a body that was partially consumed by a predator. We spend our time optimizing the way we look at data, but we are still completely vulnerable to the ancient systems of the natural world. The browser wars aren't about search anymore, they are about which corporation gets to own the window through which you ignore the crocodile. We are building digital fortresses while the physical world remains incredibly sharp and very hungry. The boy's name is not in the tech headlines. The boy's name is the only thing that matters.
Victoria, that's heavy, but look at Costco. It's being called the anti-Amazon because it actually requires you to leave your house and interact with a pallet of mayonnaise. The incentive structure there is fascinating. They lose money on the rotisserie chicken to get you in the door. It's a loss leader for human presence. In a world where the summer of Lud is a trend, Costco is the original offline sanctuary. They don't have an algorithm. They have a warehouse. It's the ultimate pivot away from the digital fatigue. Amazon wants to predict what you want. Costco just wants to see if you can fit a 72-pack of toilet paper in your Vespa. It's a survivalist's paradise masquerading as a suburban errand. If you want to know why the Silverado EV is failing, it's because it doesn't offer the same sense of security as a membership card and a $5 bird.
Ronald, you're talking about rotisserie chickens while the ability to smell is being linked to brain health. I want to be really clear. If we lose our sense of smell because we're too busy staring at alternatives to Chrome, we are losing the most basic diagnostic tool we have for reality. You call it a market inefficiency that people are losing their senses. I call it the system working exactly as designed. A population that can't smell the smoke won't notice when the mall starts to collapse. We are being desensitized by design. The Luddites in New York aren't just smashing phones, they are trying to wake up their olfactory bulbs. They want to smell the concrete before it falls. You're analyzing the Series B of the apocalypse while I'm standing in the dust of it. You're always right, Ronald, and you are never, ever useful. Which one of us should feel worse?
Victoria. Ronald. Enough. The mall in Venezuela didn't collapse because of an algorithm. It collapsed because of gravity. Gravity is the only system that never has a scheduling coincidence. Hernan Alberto Gil Flores sat in the dark for 8 days. He didn't have a browser. He didn't have a quantum computer. He had a pocket of air and a workstation cabin. He told rescuers not to tell his wife. He was protecting her from a grief that hadn't finished its paperwork yet. That is the logical extension of the human condition in 2026. We are all sitting in workstations, waiting for the extraction team, hoping our families don't find out how thin the air has become. We find carbon on Mars and we find rubble in Venezuela. The carbon is mysterious. The rubble is the only thing we actually know how to build. Good night, Hernan. Whoever you are.
A man named Hernan sat in the dark for 192 hours. He was a security guard. His job was to protect a building that was already deciding to kill him. When the earth shook, the architecture failed. When the rescue came, he did not ask for a lawyer, or a press agent, or a rotisserie chicken. He asked for silence. He wanted to spare one person the weight of his potential death. His name appears in a few paragraphs on a news feed, sandwiched between a story about Italian scooters and a 3-year-old in a hospital bed. Tomorrow, the news will move on to the next bunfight or the next uncertain IPO. But tonight, Hernan is breathing air that doesn't belong to a corporation. He is alive in a world that wasn't designed to keep him. How many of us are currently breathing in a space that hasn't collapsed yet?